snare. Our verse says, the fear of man lays a snare. And if you're a musician, I want to point out that this is not a snare drum like we have on the drum set. This is a snare like a big old bear trap, right? That's going to close around your leg, and now you can't go anywhere. The fear of man lays a snare. Okay, so how does it lay a snare? Here's how. Others' opinions can keep us from becoming all God created us to be. The fear of man, when others' opinions have too much weight in our life, that can keep us from becoming everything God created us to be. So my mom gave me 2 gifts before she died. Metaphorically, they were gifts. And my mom was a wonderful person, so I'm not like dragging on my mom. She's a wonderful person. But she gave me 2 things. I inherited from her 2 things. The first one was the ability to see what was dangerous in any situation. So we're in this room right now, and guess what? The platform could give out, and I could go crashing down to the floor. Or, look at these things. They're just hanging by a little hook. What if they came crashing down upon us? Or what about that thing? It's already spinning. What if it got loose and it propellered its way right on top of me? And I could probably, given enough time, come up with about 50 other things to be afraid of in this room. Because my mom gave me that gift. I can see the danger in every situation. I grew up before there were really bike helmets, unless you were doing the Tour de France. But she would tell me, now don't fall over and bash your brains in. I'm like in middle school, and she's telling me this, right, on the bike. Don't get lost in the woods. You'll never get out, long before cell phones. When we first started driving, it was 10 and 2. And if I would ever hold the steering wheel somewhere other than 10 and 2, John, you're going to get us in an accident. John, stop the car. And like the next car is about a mile ahead of us, right? Like she could just find the danger in any situation. Anybody have a mom or somebody in your life like this? Yeah, okay. So the second gift she gave me was to be constantly asking myself the question, what will people think? Oh, John, what will people think? You did not wear a tie to church. And she's probably spinning in her grave right now because I'm wearing blue jeans and an untucked shirt to church. John, what will people think? Oh, John, don't you understand that what you do reflects on us as your parents? What will people think? If you're a parent, I just want to encourage you, unless you're raising an axe murderer, what your kids do really doesn't reflect on you. I just want to set you free from that idea. Every kid throws temper tantrums in the middle of the grocery store. Every kid pulls stuff off the shelf and opens it and starts eating it, even when it's toilet paper and it wasn't supposed to be eaten, right? Every kid acts out in church. Every kid, like there's just a whole list we could come up with where every kid at some point is going to do this. Every kid is going to eventually slam their bedroom door after screaming that they hate you. It really has nothing to do with you, right? That's just parenting. That's part of having a kid. But this idea of, what will people think? Man, it's embedded deep in my psyche. What will people think? And why do I care so much? And why does it freak me out? And why do I adjust my thinking and behavior based on what I think people will think? See, that's the snare that the fear of man lays, is that you will adjust your thinking and behavior based on what other people might think. Israel sent some spies into the promised land. They had come to the promised land. They'd been rescued from Egypt. They'd crossed the Red Sea. They'd gone through the desert. Now they're right outside the promised land. The reason it's the promised land, God had promised them that they could have this land and that he would give it to them. And so they sent some spies in to check it out, to decide what would be best, what they should do. And the 12 spies come back, and 11 or 10 out of the 12 of them say, there's no way. There's no way. The land is full of giants. Yeah, it's an amazing land. It's filled with milk and honey, which sounds really sticky. but it's an amazing land. But there's giants there, and there's no way we can take the land. And two of the spies said, no, God is with us, therefore we can go, and he's promised us this, and we can do it. But the people of Israel said, nope, not going in. They turned around, went the other way. They were swayed by the opinions of others, rather than trusting in the Lord their God. And it was a snare, it was a trap. They ended up wandering in the desert for the next 40 years until every single one of those people, except for the two spies who wanted to take the land, who wanted to trust God, every single one, every other one died. Didn't get into the promised land. Their kids made it, but they didn't make it. It's a snare. The fear of man is a snare. What is the fear of man keeping you from or pushing you into?